It is time, once again. I just realized that sounds very similar to my What I Will Watch. But don't worry, that'll be out very soon since Dr. Stone recently ended. But it is time, once again, to talk about the top 10 when it comes to the character poll. Now, if this is your first time hearing about this, or first time watching my video, basically it's something I do every time that a character poll comes out. I kind of go over exactly who won the character poll, the top 10 characters that were voted on, and to just be point blank, what this means is that these individual characters were voted on in the magazine Weekly Shonen Jump in Japan. So technically, the characters in this list is just from Japan. It's not actually other people around the world, for instance in America, etc. It's just the readers in Japan. However, it is interesting to see who's on top, who's on bottom, etc. And basically, I'm going to go over the list before I get into talking about this chapter. Even though the chapter is amazing, it's very emotional, I want to talk about it. I want to get this out of the way first, which is the character poll. And so to begin, as always, which is kind of a no-brainer if you have glanced or even read the chapter already, you know, if you peek at the cover, the color page that kind of congratulates who won exactly on, you know, this character poll, you have Bakugo as number 1, which is just, it's become a common thing at this point. I think there's not been one single time that Bakugo has been overthrown by anyone, not even Izuku, you know, the main character of this story. I think it's always been Bakugo as number 1 since the story actually began, which is just interesting because it's just like Bakugo is just so high up there in votes. Like, when you actually look at his vote comparison throughout all the times we've had this character popularity poll up, you have it to where the second place, like Izuku or other characters, never even come close to Bakugo. He just always stands out on top. He is the number 1 of the character popularity poll. So, like I said, it's a no-brainer that he won once again, and I really do love his design on the cover. It is absolutely beautiful. I mean, honestly, imagine, like, this outfit being animated by Studio Bones, how breathtaking it honestly would be. Like, I just couldn't imagine. Literally, the animators and the art, people that do the artwork and all that would probably kill over because of just how hard it would be to animate everything on Bakugo's hero costume. Now, okay, I know I started off with number 1, but I'm going to go to number 10 because I just want to talk about Bakugo since he won, and it's very apparent he would win if you've been following these polls, so I just wanted to get him out of the way. I have no problem with Bakugo being number 1, by the way. I have no problem with anyone on this list. At the end of the day, it is a popularity poll, it is in Japan, so, you know, obviously their viewpoints on certain characters might be very different from everybody else's viewpoint around the world or in the States, etc. So getting into number 10, Momo. Momo is number 10. I do like the way she looks on the cover. Now, despite I know it being very fan servicey, I just do like how simplistic her design is, but also how it fits perfectly with her quirk. I just think Momo being number 10, it's nice to see. She is a good character. I do think she has a very powerful quirk, and I do hope that because of, you know, this position in the character popularity poll, this allows her to kind of continue to have more spotlight than other characters, because she needs more spotlight. I've loved the development that, you know, Horikoshi Sensei has given her. Now, number 9, we have Toga. I actually expect her to be a little bit higher, but at the same time, thinking about everything that happened in the Villain Academia arc, it actually makes sense why Toga's number 9 and not higher up, because she had one fight, which was amazing. There was a lot of good stuff about her character, and I loved it. But at the end of the day, she didn't have as much spotlight as said other characters of that arc. For instance, Shigaraki. So it kind of makes sense why she wouldn't be, like, you know, a part of, let's say, the top 5, if you get my point. But I like Toga on the cover. I do like how she's in the background, kind of representing, you know, kind of, you know, where the villains are. They're behind the scenes in the shadows, etc. I do really enjoy Toga's, you know, overall design on the cover page. Now, the next one is Ochiko. Now, Ochiko, obviously, she is like the main female character. She's pretty much the direct love interest of Izuku, and I know many don't like to really think about ships, relationships, and all that, and I'm not going to get too deep into that, but the point is, though, is Ochiko has been, in some way, set up to be paired with Izuku at the end of the story. Now, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Personally, I'm an Ochiko Izuku shipper. But like I said, doesn't happen. I'm not going to hate the series for it. I'm not going to hate Horikoshi for it. It's his design for his characters, his story, etc. I cannot control that. But the point is, though, Ochiko has been kind of set up as the main female, so her being in the top 10 makes sense, even though, despite all this, she hasn't had as much spotlight as said other characters, and honestly, she isn't as, I guess, unique as, let's say, other characters like Momo, Suyu, etc. So it's just fascinating to me to see, once again, she's in the top 10, and honestly, I do like her design as well. Also, by the way, there is a storm going on, so if you hear any thunder or rain, please forgive me. I can't, obviously, stop the rain. I'm not, weather controlling magic or anything, or a quirk that controls weather, but if you hear any rain, please forgive me. Got a tin roof, can't help that. Number 7 is Aizawa. This one, I think it's a mix of a variety of things. The reason why I think Aizawa is at number 7 is probably because of his overall role with Eri this year. Because remember, this character popularity poll comes in from this entire year of the manga. And obviously what's going on right now within the manga with Aizawa and Mike and all that hasn't really been seen yet, technically. So this character popularity poll with all these votes didn't happen right now. It happened like a couple weeks back or maybe a month or so back, so because of that, there's just no way these voters that voted for Aizawa would have known what we are about to get into. So, I feel like maybe the fans of the spinoff probably really love Aizawa even more now, and that's probably why he's so high up. I'm assuming it's both fans from the spinoff and the main series that voted Aizawa up. Number 6, doesn't really come as a surprise, it is Shigaraki as number 6. He's a part of the top 10. I would honestly be disappointed if he wasn't a part of the top 10, because of just how active of a role he has within the story, but also the amazing arc that was My Villain Academia, and just how it really broke the mold of what you would normally expect from a shonen manga. I mean, as I talked about, it's a very risky thing to do. Really shifting the focus off of, let's say, the main character, the good guys, over to the villains and trying to humanize them, because writers, or at least in Shonen Jump at the very least, they don't like to make characters that you can really feel bad for and want to vote over them or cheer for them over the heroes. And that's what makes it really risky, is because it can really make your audience conflicted and maybe not even like the main characters anymore. And I feel like Horikoshi met a very perfect balance between both sides within that arc. He did a fantastic job with giving a lot of details to Shigaraki, Twice, Toga, Spinner, etc. He did a very good job. And I think Shigaraki being a part of the top 10 makes perfect sense. I do like within the cover page, you actually don't really see much of him. You just see his back, which I think is perfect enough as is, because technically what he represents is the exact opposite of the heroes. He doesn't want to follow the norm. He doesn't want to follow rules and regulation. And so when you look at Shigaraki in the color page, it's basically him being free and not going according to the norm. For instance, the norm would be the characters viewing us, the readers, looking at us. When we open up the book and see the color page, whatever, the character's looking at us. Shigaraki's not doing that to basically represent he's against the, the heroes, but also he's against the reader as well. He doesn't have to follow their norms, their, what they expect. So I appreciate that little detail from Horikoshi-sensei when it comes to Shigaraki, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, Aizawa's design as well on the cover page. Very nice, too. Now, we have number 5, Ida. Now, Ida, his entire character, I think, is also a variety of things. It's probably fans that are watching the reading the manga and watching the anime of My Hero Academia, because the earlier season that came out earlier this year, before this season, Season 4, I think because of Ida's role as well, after the whole Stain event, and how he helped Izuku, with, figuring out how to save Bakugo, etc., I think Ida really rose in a lot of popularity, and he was already popular to begin with because of what he stood for and what happened within the Stain arc. So, once again, I'm not really surprised to see him in number 5, even also seeing what he did in the Class A and B going up against each other. He did a very good job, too. So, Ida top 5 makes complete sense. Number 4, Kirishima. Kirishima, once again, not another surprise either, because Kirishima as a character, he's someone that is a fan favorite. Honestly, I'm surprised Todoroki is over him. Now, I know the ladies love Todoroki. I know he's like a fan favorite for the female readers of My Hero Academia and watchers of My Hero Academia, but I always thought Kirishima, personally, was better than Todoroki. Now, I'm not saying Todoroki's a bad character. Don't get upset with me. I'm just saying, I think Kirishima, for what his character is, what he represents, especially after the latest episode of the anime that just came out this past weekend, it kind of demonstrated why Kirishima is such an important character and kind of what he represents. He's pretty much Izuku, but with a quirk. And at the same time, even though Izuku had courage, and he was able to kind of go in there and save someone, he was very suicidal, while Kirishima, he's very self-sacrificing, which goes perfectly with the theme of the latest chapter as well that Aiza was trying to talk about. So I like Kirishima. I really, 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 really love Kirishima as a character. I love his design on the cover, and also, once again, forgot to mention Ida as well. Love his design, too. He looks like a freaking, like, a Goblin Slayer, honestly, on the cover. But, next one is Todoroki, number 3. Now, this is to be expected, like I said, there's a lot of female fans, and Todoroki is a fan-favorite character, and there has been a lot of spotlight for Todoroki in recent chapters and arcs, so not surprised, and he is someone that is going through a lot of development right now because of his father, so yeah, and he's also part of the main trio, the three trio characters, you know, Bakugo, Izuku, and Todoroki, so it makes sense why he'd be there. Number 2, as always, he's usually always number 2, number 3. He's always in the backlight. He's behind Bakugo always. And I do feel like when Izuku finally does become the number 1 hero, he might step into the number 1 place of votes, which I am looking forward to with the day that does happen. But for now, though, Bakugo is reigning champion. So, okay. Enough with that. Let's get into the chapter. Holy crap, this is already a 13 minute video. Okay. I apologize. That was very, very long. So, the chapter. The latest chapter of My Hero Academia. If you have not read Vigilante, I think that this chapter does a perfect job of giving a summary of the events that happened within the spinoff. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't read the spinoff, but this chapter does give enough clarification for you don't necessarily have to read the spinoff, which I do appreciate, because if there is one thing that, you know, I think many would have a problem with when it came to the whole reveal of Shirakumo being a part of the story, and what's going on with Aizawa and Mike, would be the fact that to find out this information, you would have to read a spinoff, and like I said, not many people want to do that. Only really the big fans of My Hero Academia would be willing to go out of their way and look into more additional content to get the full grasp of the story. So I do appreciate Horikoshi did go out of his way to actually give some of the summary from the spinoff within this chapter for everybody can be kind of up to speed of what Shirakumo was or who he was and why Aizawa was so emotional in this chapter because of him. So that was a good plus side to this chapter. And another great plus was that this finally gave clarity to one of the biggest mysteries of the entirety of the story since the very beginning, and that was, why did Aizawa expel people, and why didn't he really expel our class of characters? Well, that was a mystery, and it was finally revealed within this chapter. The reason why Aizawa expelled a bunch of people that went to UA is because he kind of wanted to give them a rebirth. He wanted to give them the ability to know, like, you know, kind of what failure is, etc. Wake them up, have kind of like their own academic failure or death, to where they would actually really be serious and not try to be suicidal, etc. Really take things seriously. I do appreciate some clarity to Aizawa's, you know, expelling people at the beginning of the story. It's something that has kind of made many wonder for a very long time. We also need to get into Aizawa's message and seeing his character break down. It is the first time, I think, throughout the entirety of this story of My Hero Academia that we've seen Aizawa really show as much emotion as he has. He's shown anger and all that in the past, yes, but I think this is the first time we've truly seen an emotional and broken Aizawa that just realizes that he's at wit's end. He doesn't really know what to do. When he looks at Kurogiri and he starts talking to him, he automatically starts to realize to key in on very things that is, you know, similar to how Shirakumo was. And one of the big deciding things is how Kurogiri has a very, very weird attachment to Shigaraki. Now, since the very beginning of the story, we've all known that Kurogiri's kind of been like this watcher. He's watched over Shigaraki quite a bit. He's always looked after him, making sure that he's A-okay, etc. And it's always been weird, honestly, his relationship. we kind of find out that Shirakumo, he was very similar in regard to Aizawa. And when Mike was talking about, Kurogiri, like, why are you watching over such a gloomy brat? He stopped in his tracks and he got shocked and he looked over at Aizawa. And when you see Aizawa grab his face and, pull his face down, you could just see the stress and the emotion on his face in that moment without any words. And what that pretty much meant is that Mike put together that what Kurogiri is doing for Shigaraki is exactly what Shirakumo did for Aizawa. And he's like, holy crap, they're very similar. And then on top of that, you have it to where Aizawa realizes that they have to be, and he starts talking about the story of a cat, like, how he saved a cat and all that, and you can see clearly that Kurogiri has no idea what Aizawa is talking about, but he kind of just lays it out there. He's basically saying, like, this is what you did for me, and Aizawa, even though he doesn't really know if he's going to get a response or not, he's saying it to kind of get it off his chest. It's emotions that he's held inside of himself for a very long time, and it's honestly tragic, because he's really never got to relay these emotions, most likely, and he's finally getting to lay them on the table. And even Mike, someone that's always being a jokester, talking, etc., he shut up. He shut up and let Aizawa talk. And that just says a lot about the atmosphere. He realized it wasn't time to really make jokes or talk because Aizawa needed to let out his feelings. And as it continues on, he's basically like, at one point in time, Shirakumo, Mike and me were going to create an agency together, and we were going to be heroes working together, etc., and it ended all too soon with, Shirakumo's death. And it kind of elaborates on the fact that, Aizawa still wants to do that. He's a teacher now trying to teach kids the lesson he learned, what he took from Shirakumo's life, when he died and all that. And, he hopes to one day be heroes with Shirakumo again. And that's why he, in his all honesty, he broke down and started crying at the end, was because he truly wants to believe that Kurogiri is Shirakumo. And if it's not, it's just a man crying to someone that will never truly understand. It's honestly just tragic, truly. And I feel bad for Aizawa. So, I think that this chapter does a very good job with really just giving so much more detail to Aizawa's character and finally clarifying why he's acted like he's done since the very beginning of the story. There's just so much to really take from this chapter that I love it. If you're an Aizawa fan, you're going to be a very, very happy person. And I know for a fact I am, because I love these details on the character. Another thing is, as well, that Kurogiri, since he is a Nomu, and he's definitely something different than the Nomus that we've seen, even high-end, you could kind of say maybe Kurogiri is kind of like the perfect Nomu. He is an individual that has truly been perfected as a Nomu, and maybe it's very hard to create someone like him because of the singularity. For instance, quirks merging together and creating something brand new. It's very clear that if it really is Shirakumo inside, or at least the body of Shirakumo being used for Kurogiri, then it's apparent that his quirk merged with other quirks that all for one put within that body, and it created something completely new. And it does make me wonder, since technically the body is being used and the personality can still be there, it makes me wonder exactly, this is kind of like literally bringing the dead back to life, reanimating a corpse. It's weird. It's very weird. It's disturbing, and I do wonder where Horikoshi Sensei wants to take this, because it could lead down to some really interesting and messed up paths depending on where the story goes. By the way, another thing I do want to point out is kind of the foreshadowing, or the death flags that is set up within this chapter. When you look at Aizawa, Mike, and Shirakumo's relationship, they are very, very similar to our main trio. Hear me out. Think about this. You have, Mike as Bakugo. You have Izuku as Shirakumo. And you have Aizawa as Todoroki. It's fascinating when you look at the personalities are slightly different, yes, but there is enough similarities. You have the talkative one, you have the one that wants to do what's right and help people out, watch over them, like, how Izuku was to Todoroki, and Todoroki's kind of like that gloomy one at the beginning of the story that was saved thanks to Izuku. And it does make me wonder, honestly, if everything goes on like it is, will one of the trio die? Obviously, Izuku won't die, but will Bakugo or even maybe Todoroki die? And if that is the case, that's pretty dark. I do wonder exactly if Horikoshi will go down that path, because there was definitely set for maybe one of our trio dying, thanks to how similar the Aizo's trio was. So yeah, the chapter, it's emotional. It's a very emotional chapter, and I am speechless, honestly, with just how well done it was, how Horikoshi delivered it to the readers of the series. I'm curious on Kurogiri's answer. Is he going to say, who are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about, etc. I am very, very curious. But I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.